What is this Old Testament? Their real wrath of God type stuff. Fire, brimstone, coming out from the sky. Rivers and seas boiling. 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's terrible.
Pee-wee's Playhouse premiered on CBS in 1986, and that was the thing about Pee-wee. Debuting in a time and a season when imagination and nostalgia was at an all-time high. That was the thing about Pee-wee Herman, the creation of Paul Reubens, who died on Sunday at 70. And the character's combination of child's play and burlesque comedy and avant-garde art set the tone for imagination in the future. Either you were ready for it, or you were not. Those of us who were on the wavelength gained admission to a play date and in a kooky living room full of anthropomorphic toys, furniture, hosted by a bow tie pogo stick of a man who bopped off the walls and opened his door to a string of eccentric neighbors. Cowboy Curtis, played by Lawrence Fishburne, comes to mind. The overstuffed set, with its mid-century candy palette and zigzag angles, looked like a B-52's album if you could live inside of it. Pee-wee, the character, was a parody. A high on Pixie Stick's exaggeration of the clean-cut kids host of the 1950s. A howdy-doody who brought himself to life. But he was also the thing himself. There was nothing mocking about Reubens' performance. It was exultant and joyful. He grimaced and giggled and barked. His character wasn't a Mr. Rogers or a Captain Kangaroo, a wise grown-up who kept the fun under control. He was a kid himself who knew that kids wanted to lose control for a half an hour and laugh at dumb jokes and scream real loud at the secret word. By the way, the word of the day is Pee-wee. And so, every time that we say the words Pee-wee, if you're listening out there, once again, we are broadcasting live here from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond. Also broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Still banned on Instagram. Well, what can you say? Not going to be able to be back on there until September the 14th. But here we are. We are broadcasting live on a Saturday morning. Saturday morning when Pee-wee invited us into his home and told us that we could come along and play with him. Make sure that you brought a piece of aluminum foil for the aluminum foil ball. And when that got too big, make sure you bring a few rubber bands for the rubber band ball. There was nothing mocking about Reubens' performance. Once again, like I said, an earlier version of the Playhouse based on Reubens' stage show aired on HBO as the Pee-wee Herman Show in 1981. It was much a downtown art performance as a variety show and more explicitly adult than the Playhouse would be. John B. the Genie, a disembodied head who floats in the magic box, receives a mail order and hands and tells Pee-wee, "I have something I've wanted to do for a long time." And of course, we all know that jingle. Mecca lecca hi, Mecca hi ni ho. Playhouse premiered a year after the Tim Burton movies. Pee-wee's Big Adventure elevated the character from cult favorite to mass phenomenon and mentor of catchphrases. I know you are, but what am I? But Playhouse seemed more radical by virtue of its placement, and that was Saturday mornings on CBS. The era Pee-wee's Playhouse aired in from 1986 to briefly showed that. Oh, hold on. So the era Pee-wee's Playhouse aired in from 1986 to 1990. Sorry about that, and was basically the big networks still dominated with continuous programming. The Cosby Show still served up hugging and learning, and Spanish Fly in your drinks. But pockets of weirdness were starting to bubble up from the deep. David Letterman was making late nights on NBC into a comedy mad science lab. The Simpsons made the leap from Tracy Ullman's show featurette to global obsession. Twin Peaks briefly showed that TV's most ridiculous show could be its most popular. Playhouse was possibly the most likely experiment of this time. Yet it made perfect sense. Kids were wigged out, surrealist by nature. It takes grown-ups to regiment their impulses into predictable TV formats. In the Playhouse, everything was alive. The globe, the floor, the food in the refrigerator, toys in the wall. People could, however, and look however they wanted. Everyone was invited. But to call Pee-wee's Playhouse ahead of its time would unduly flatter ours. Yes, Reuben's always suspect among a certain sector of killjoy parents and scolds was taken down during his time. Arrested in 1991, and CBS pulled the reruns of the series off the air. I can only imagine the freakouts over the show if it were new today. Everything on Pee-wee's Playhouse was a form of drag. A glitzy dress-up party that played around with definitions of gender and normalcy. Oh, that's the New York Times now speaking out. You just couldn't leave your ass out of the article, could you? Anyways, in one episode, Pee-wee married a fruit salad. A play on the show's running jokes. If you love X so much, why don't you marry it? Why don't you marry it? Surely there would be a fruit law matrimony in Florida by now. See, they had to take the damn shot at Florida too. Good grief, New York Times, ridiculous. Anyways, but in the Playhouse, which recognized no governing authority other than the king of cartoons, the only rule there was that there were no rules. Rubens, as Pee-wee, pushed his audience to be accepting of the weird and ambiguous and uncategorizable. Is that a word? Uncategorizable? We know who Pee-wee was. But who, I ask, are we? Again, that's from the New York Times, of course, a little rag of newspaper. Anyway, here we go. Anyways, here we are broadcasting live. Once again, it's 9:21 here on the 5th day of, what is it? Damn it, what is it? It's August now. Good grief. Gosh, it was hot a few days. Then all of a sudden the weather broke. But here we are. It is the 5th day of August in the year 2023, broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond. Once again, you're listening to 90.1 FM. That is actually on a radio dial. Yeah, listen, I know a lot of people are sitting there around town and saying, oh, well, I have a podcast. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. No, listen to me. We are live here on the radio. Do you see this microphone over here? It is a real microphone. Oh, see it. What do you mean, see it? You don't know what I mean when I say see it. We are actually simulcasting, setting the standard, raising the bar, doing what we only know how to do. That is be better, do better, win better. We've been doing it since last year. Shout out to Mary Murr, of course, for always being first. So, but here we are once again on a Saturday morning. I see Deadman Juan here in the chat. Cato's collection reviews. Have you seen Cato's review of the Gullwing? The Ramen Toys Gullwing. Oh no, well, this is the is it? Well, I'm trying to sit there and call it the Makina Goldwing. And they say, well, you should say what it represents. Well, I don't want to say what it represents because I am trying to promote the brands of ramen toy, not possibly the brands at which they're emulating in their amazing retro artistic. Was it retro artistic? Was it retro ramen retro artistic modern 80s nostalgia? That's what it is. Retro modern artistic retro artistic modern 80s nostalgia. Yeah, that's it. Retro artistic modern 80s nostalgia. Ramen toy. Anyways, ramen toy. Go check out Cato's review on the Gullwing. The Makina Gullwing. There was a whole hullabaloo over the last 60 days. Yeah, right. Well, Ramen Toy got a cease and desist letter. They got a cease and desist letter from Hasbro. Hasfail. I mean, has Benz. Anyway, so anyways, just check it out. Cato's collection reviews. I'd say that because people are in the chat and you say, well, Sam, what do you mean people are in the chat? Well, we do have a chat going. We have the chat going right now, and the chat is, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Cannot stream on Instagram until September the 14th. We'll get there, of course, but, hey, listen, when you are giving the real news as a real media puppet, I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? They're going to sit there and ban me. Listen, people also asked me, they were like, well, Sam, you have over 8,200 followers on TikTok. Why don't you live stream there more? I'm going to tell you why. The reason why is because every time I live stream there, then all of a sudden my account gets locked for the next week, saying that now I'm just reading the news here, just reading the news. That last article was from the New York Times. There was 3 different articles in the ramen toys. Listen, 3 different articles in the New York Times about Pee-wee. I'm going to be reading 2 throughout through the duration of the show, and another one. But I just figured I'd get my feet wet with that one. And of course, they couldn't stick their nose out of the whole drag queen library story time. No, damn it, I'm not going to get into it. It's too early. It's 9:25 on a Saturday morning. I'm not going to do it. Listen, I'm not going to do it. Cato says that ramen killed it with the Gullwing. I think they're going to make another version of the Gullwing. It's not going to come with a comic. There's going to be a couple of different things with it, but ramen is going to make another Gullwing. I saw an article said, well, ramen, are you poking the bear? Let ramen poke the damn bear. Let ramen poke the bear. Listen, do you understand what used to happen when you were growing up on Saturday mornings? Listen, you would grab your toys. You would grab your ramen toy Makina Goldwing. Of course, back then it might have been called something else when you were a kid, but that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. You would grab your Makina Gullwing, made by Ramen Toy, and you would sit down in front of the television and watch cartoons for the next 3 or 4 hours before your parents woke up, came down the stairs, and kicked your ass outside and told you to go play outside. But you know what you would do? For at least the 3 or 4 hours while they were still sleeping in on a Saturday, you would be playing with your toys, watching cartoon themes, which is what we do here. The government actually took away Saturday morning cartoons. Yes, they did. Listen, I'm sorry that I'm the one that has to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but here you are on Saturday morning listening to my beautiful puppet voice as it goes across, yes, broadcast airways, yes, real radio microphone right there. No, not a podcast, real broadcasting. There's a microphone right there. No, I'm telling you right there. And then also live streaming on multiple different channels, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Is it Twitter? I guess we call it X now, right? Elon Musk put up an image the other day of a black bird and then a blue bird in like this X symbol. I guess they're trying to make a new logo. I think I like the bluebird. I like the bluebird. A little bit inside baseball. Anyways, I don't. It's a Twitter. I say Twitter. I guess we got to call it X now. Listen, I'm just going off the cuff here. So, do we call it X? Or do we call it Twitter? What the hell do we call it? Who knows what we call it? David Miller, Triple D, down in the chat. Once again, I see Dead Man 1. Hey, listen, did I tell you real quickly? All right, so I'm going to go to a couple of songs here in a moment, and then I'm going to have Deep Cut Dave come in, radio-only segment here in just a moment. I'll tell about that in a moment. Did I ever tell you about Dead Man? I tell you about Dead Man and David Miller, Triple D. Did I ever tell you about Dead Man, though? Oh, this was really funny. Last night, the Casual Toy Chat, adult conversations about toys every Friday and Saturday night at 10:30. Adult conversations. Once again, the Casbar Casual Toy Collector. It was funny because Dead Man shows up, and then Brucey is like, "Wait a minute! I think you know what? I think that aren't you Toy Mercs?" It's like a revelation for Brucey. It was like a revelation for Brucey that Dead Man is the moderator and the actual the guy behind Toy Mercs. Shout out to White Vegeta in the chat. I see you as well, White Vegeta. Hey, send me that other action figure point. Gotta buy my Special Ops Condor. If you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to Valaverse, Bobby Vala, the Vanguard, all that stuff. Yes, we can get into that a little bit later. Not today. Not today. We're going to be talking about Pee-wee, damn it. We are. We're talking about Pee-wee. But I see everybody in the chat. But it was funny because last night Brucey was like, "Oh my gosh, I just realized that Dead Man is Toy Mercs." Brucey. Tighten up, Brucey. Tighten up, Brucey. The thing about the only thing I can say about Toy Mercs is, well, it's very simple. I think, what is it? Yeah, well, it's 4 words, right? Because Toy Mercs is 1 word, right? Okay, so there's only 4 words I need to say. We are all Toy Mercs. You hear that? We are all Toy Mercs. Yes, that's exactly what we are. We are all Toy Mercs. That's what we are. Follow at Toy Mercs on Instagram. All kinds of toy pictures if you have toys. I talk about toys because it's Saturday morning. Used to play with your toys. 9:30 here on the 5th day of August in the year 2023. Listen, I have a few songs that I need to play. I got to get with Deep Cut Dave here in a moment. He's going to be calling here in just a few moments. Why? Because tonight is SummerSlam. That's right, wrestling. And of course, Professor Deep Cut Dave doing what he always does, setting the standard, raising the bar as a professor of nostalgia. That's what we'll call him. He is the professor. No, well, he is a real professor. No, that's true. He is a real professor. And he'll be back on the other side. Now, this is a radio-only segment. And you say, well, what do you mean by that, Sam? Well, what I'm telling you is that you need to download the Live 365 app. Download the Live 365 app. Search WDCE. Download the Live 365 app. Search WDCE. You'll be able to listen to the show, the wrestling themes, the SummerSlam wrestling themes that I'm about to play here in just a moment. And you'll hear the conversation that I have with Dave. Now, I will be back here on, what is it? What am I? Yes, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Yeah, right over here. YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I'll be back at the top of the hour here on video. But we want to encourage people. This is a radio show, so we want to encourage people to listen to the radio. Listen, this is a real broadcast microphone. You just think about it for a moment. You're driving down the road. here in 95. You're either traveling through Richmond, you turn it on, you hear my beautiful, amazing puppet voice. It's incredible. It's incredible. But then you might be saying, well, Sam, I want to see you at Sam Newsman all over social media. Listen, I've made it simple. At Sam Newsman all over social media. And once again, download the Live 365 app, search WDCE, and you can listen to the cartoon themes and the SummerSlam and the wrestling themes that I'm about to play. I have Deep Cut Dave coming in, radio-only segment here on the other side with his SummerSlam predictions. You don't want to miss it here on the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real media puppet. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman. And this is Saturday morning.